It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for commencement, Tony Brown. I consider Tony to be a valued and personal friend. He serves on the Dean's Board of Advisors for our college. Tony epitomizes our college's vision to achieve extraordinary results in the areas of learning, research, outreach, diversity, and enhancement of quality of life. Tony Brown is Executive Director of HOLA, the Heart of Los Angeles, an after-school program that provides underserved youth with programs in academics, athletics, the arts, and helps to shepherd them toward post-secondary education. Tony began his relationship with HOLA in 1992, creating athletics and enrichment programs after earning a BA from Loyola Marymount University's College of Communications. He then moved into the classroom where he taught numerous grade levels at schools around the country and served as athletic director and coach for private schools while owning and managing several successful camp programs. After several years of teaching, Tony earned his master's degree in sport management and marketing from University of Tennessee and began working at Fox Sports Radio and Clear Channel in marketing and advertising sales for the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Clippers, the Angels, and UCLA. While there, Tony created nearly $1 million in new business sales. In 2003, Tony Brown returned to HOLA as Director of Development before moving into the Executive Director's position in 2007. He is a Stanford University Graduate School of Business Center for Social Innovation Fellow. Tony has served on Pepperdine University's American Humanics Scholars Board, and he has received a number of awards, including recognition in 2009 by the Center for Nonprofit Management for his work as a social innovator. In 2010, Tony was awarded Loyola Marymount's Distinguished Alumni Award for his service in the community. In 2011, he was awarded the Local Hero Award by Bank of America for keeping kids away from gangs and off the streets, and he was also then recognized by KTLA as a hometown hero for his service to at-risk and underserved youth. Most recently, Tony received the Leadership Excellence Award at the Los Angeles Business Journal's 2012 Nonprofit and Corporate Citizenship Award ceremony. It is an honor for us to have Tony as today's commencement speaker. Please join me in welcoming my friend, Tony Brown, to the podium to deliver our commencement speech.
Wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm honored to be here to share in this little piece of your success as the graduating class of 2014. I want to give thanks before I start to God. I want to give thanks to my mom. I want to give thanks to my wife, Gwen, and my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, Penelope, and my 2-year-old son, Emery. They were really sad when Daddy got on a plane from LA to come back to Knoxville because Penelope and Emery thought I was going to a UT football game and wanted to go. That's what we love about this place, all of you guys and the spirit that is within the University of Tennessee. It's an honor. Listen, I'll tell you, when I was out here studying as a graduate student, I had a mentor who was an alum. His name is Dave Meskey, and he's now a teacher and educator, has been for years here in Knoxville. And he gave me the opportunity to be able to work and come here and work on my graduate degree. And I really want to thank him. And today, for me, it's a little bit of paying that forward. Paying that forward. Another alum. You're going to join the alumni of this amazing College of Education and Health and Human Science. And it's an amazing family. I just want you to know. So I'm on the Dean's Board of Advisors. I've been on this board for a number of years now, and I am so amazed at the quality of leadership from our provost to our dean, Dean Bob Ryder, his amazing faculty. They're so inspiring, and the staff, the graduates, alumni, and of course the students. I've watched you guys prepare and present at a lot of our board meetings, and I was blown away. I was so fired up after every one of those board meetings that I'd head right into the bookstore and I would buy either a tartan tie, thank you Retail and Tourism, or some Rocky Top gear. And my kids have come to expect that. So I'll be back there again. You guys have been preparing yourselves for your pathway, what's going to hopefully make you successful in life. And one thing I want to tell you right off the bat is while you've prepared really hard, you've charted out your pathway in most cases, guess what? There's going to be some unpredictability on that pathway. See, I'm the youngest of 4 boys, and I had 3 older brothers, and 2 of them developed addictions when they were young, and they couldn't shake them. And I felt like I was too young to be able to help them get through it. I felt pretty powerless. And right after I graduated undergrad, the first one of them passed away. And even though I had charted my course, prepared myself for a particular pathway, just at that moment I thought, you know, the right thing to do here is to join my friend Mitch Moore, who started this really amazing place that was changing lives called Heart of Los Angeles. So I went down there. I said, okay, I'm going to work part-time with Mitch and help him develop some programs. Then it was sort of athletics and arts. And I'm going to start my sports business on the side. Always wanted to do the sports career. So I tried to do both, and for 3 years, we'd see these kids who really were coming to Heart of Los Angeles. So initially, it was 5 kids in a basketball. By the time I got there in 92, 93, there were maybe 100 kids. But these were kids who were growing up in this area called the Rampart District in Los Angeles. And at the time, it was just post the LA riots. From a historical perspective, our town had gone up in flames. There were a lot of kids who, you know, literally just stepping outside their doorstep were being gunned down. In fact, Heart of LA started out of a church. And Mitch said, you know, I want to bring some of these kids off the streets. It's not safe here. And I'm going to bring them upstairs and we're going to play a little basketball. We're going to do a little theater. So 5 kids turned into 30 kids. 30 kids turned into 100 kids by 92. And in I came. Okay, Mitch, let me help you create some programs for these kids so they have additional reasons to keep coming. They really didn't need that, because what they were getting at Heart of LA in those days was hope. Hope that their future wouldn't look like their present. But to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to work with kids in this way. So we were just doing the best we could. And by 1995, 3 years later, we actually had 500 kids or so coming every year, dropping in, staying safe. Whenever they get into a lot of trouble, it was almost as though they'd have a safe haven to go to hide out for a while till things blew over. If they were failing in school and they were kicked out of school, they were dropping out, they'd have a place to come. And I thought, okay, 500 kids, wow, my work here is done. I've fulfilled the legacy of my brother who passed away, because he, even though he had addictions and even though he had struggles, he was a sweet guy, so friendly, so kind, so full of life. And I always felt like life took him too early, so if I could prevent that from happening with other kids, that would add meaning to my life. So, you know, a few years into it, 500 kids, I'd done my job. I'm going to now pursue my own personal dreams. People ask me all the time, what brought you back to UT? Or what brought you to UT? And over the last few years, that's become crystal clear. I came to UT because I wanted to find a way to be the most successful version of myself that I could be in life. That's why I came here. I came in 1997. I wanted to, learn how to be a better sports business person. So I came to this very college here at the University of Tennessee. And what a great time to come. 1997, we had a few amazing quarterbacks at that time. From a sports guy, that was sounding pretty good. I can't remember their names, Peyton something and Martin, Peyton Manning. We had the legend, Pat Head Summit. It was just a dream come true. If you want to be the best, you come to the University of Tennessee. If you want to be the best in sports business, this is where you come. Little did I know that coming to the University of Tennessee wasn't just about football or basketball or any of the other great sports here. It was actually about the relationships that I would develop and the lessons that I would learn from amazing faculty. On my toughest days at Heart of Los Angeles or in business, I recollect on lessons that I learned from teachers that I admired, Dr. Joy DeSensei being one of them. I remember her ethics class. You don't lead a company in a business and not have to hearken back to what's ethical, what's the right thing to do here. This college has served me well every day I'm out there in the field, out there in the trenches. and it means so much to me. So I came here, and I earned my master's degree, and like Dean Ryder shared, I went on and had a nice career in sports management initially. It took me a while. It wasn't easy. It probably won't be easy for all of you, but you stay after it. And I pursued that career, and it was awesome at first. We were doing all sorts of great things, going to the games, meeting players, doing endorsements, putting all of my marketing skills to practice. Price, promotion, some of those things were all in play. And I thought, something's still missing. I don't know if it was because I had another brother who was struggling the same way. I don't know if it's because my father, who was a great man, Dr. Brown, had passed away. I don't know what it was, but I was missing something deeper in life. There was another path, another road to take along my path. So I decided to go back to Heart of Los Angeles and join Mitch again. But here's what happened. Heart of LA had moved sort of 5 blocks east. When you think about LA, it's very compact, it's very dense. It moved 5 blocks east, and it moved right across the street from a park, this beautiful park that no one wanted to go into. I tried to convince my staff in the early years at that time, you guys, we have to go into that park. Kids need to be outside playing. Our kids are living 8 and 9 in a 1-bedroom. Our boys, our girls are sleeping on sofas or on the floor. How are we going to educate our children if this is what their life looks like? We've got to open up this park to them. But my staff said, no way, we're not going in. Why? Because the gangs had a stranglehold on this park. The community was so poor that it could not afford to keep programs going inside this park building. See, the model in rec and parks, and those of you who are studying in that area, you have to put some money into it, and if you can get sort of 12 people or so to take a class, then guess what? Rec and parks will run a class. But what happens in a community to where everyone's living, hand to mouth? When families are showing up at food trucks to get their meal for the week, what do you do then? I'll tell you what the gangsters said. The gangsters said, well, we post up, we start dealing drugs, we start being predatory around all of the kids who are walking from their apartment to school and back again. We wait for them. We psychologically start to get into their heads. We start to break that family unit apart. We tell them, oh my goodness, let me guess, rough day at school, huh? I bet your dad and mom, oh wait, you don't even have a dad, do you? Your dad's not around? Boy, no one gets you, do they? Man, forget school. Come hang with us. Quick money. We got you. Oh, you don't speak the language very well? Don't worry about it. We speak your language. So they were winning. But I had a vision. I worked together with Mitch Moore and my staff, and I said, we have to push into this park. There's no reason why this empty park building can't have Heart of Los Angeles to provide academics, arts, and athletics out of this park building, because we were in one building at the time, scrunched behind these walls, nestled in, very safe. I said, we've got to go into the park, and we've got to provide programming there. So putting my UT sports marketing skills to work, we went out and we raised $1 million. And with that $1 million, by the way, $1 million buys you sort of a block of ad time for the NBA championships, sort of 2 weeks of programming. But $1 million in the heart of Los Angeles will help to buy you a building that will be able to offer free classes to kids. It will help to open up a neighborhood and give it a backyard that's filled with teachers and musicians and moms and dads reading to their kids in the park safely. See, sports management, you would have liked what you saw. You would have seen, this park called Lafayette Park. It had a lot of adults playing and staying active. Kinesiology and nutrition folks probably love that. But what we don't love is we don't love seeing the adults take over that park to where the kids can't play. So we started to add soccer fields to this park that had real specific times for kids to be able to play and play safely. We staffed it out. We made sure that there were caring people inside, ready for these kids when they came home after school. Not only were we going to keep the kids off the streets, but we're going to keep them away from gangs. Not only were we going to make sure that they were going to and from school, but we're going to make sure that they were excelling. So let's rewind the clock a second. I came back to Heart of LA. It moved to the new neighborhood. It was in one building. I met 16 and 17-year-olds. And I would say in my first few weeks back, I'd say, oh my gosh, how long have you been coming to Heart of LA? They were so happy. And they said, oh, I've been coming since I was 8 or 9. And I would say, oh, I just missed you. I'd get to know them a few weeks later. I'd get to know them over time, and within a few weeks, I would realize that these 16 and 17-year-olds couldn't read and write beyond a 3rd grade level. So I went into the founder's office at the time, and I said, you know, there's more that we can do here. There's more that we can do here. We can leave this center open a little bit later. We can bring in credentialed teachers. We can bring in aspiring credentialed teachers. We can bring in graduates from universities around the country to help us in our effort to make sure that every elementary student has the fundamentals in language arts and math. So where we would see 25% of the kids reading at grade level when we meet them at elementary, we wanted to see, 100% of them, of course, but we wanted to get at, 50% or 60%. That would be a huge lift. I also wanted to see the high school age students no longer dropping out of high schools in our area. Our high school dropout rate at the time was less than 60%. Were actually graduating high school. Going into college, that was less than 20%. And again, I thought, with this park, with this building, with inspiring people, we can do something. We can make something happen. We can change it. It doesn't have to stay this way. So that's what we tried to do. Well, fast forward to today. Now we serve over 2,400 kids who are coming to this center for academics, arts, and athletics. As a graduate of this university in sports management, we now have teams of unbelievable staff that I lead who are helping kids at every age, 6 to 24, not only make it through each day, but make it into the very same seats that you are sitting in right now, off to college for the first time. I'm really happy to tell you that last year's senior class from this neighborhood, we had 100% graduate high school. The team is incredible. They do the work. I lead the ship. I, a graduate of the University of Tennessee, have what it takes to do this work, and so do you. I'm really happy to tell you that over 81% of our high school graduates who are now in college are progressing year to year, 81%. And that's against 37% of kids who live in poverty and are of color. And again, I did this from a sports management degree here at the University of Tennessee. It's why I do it. It's why I do it, because I know that we can make a difference. And I'm telling all of you that you can make a difference. In fact, when I come back to these Dean's Board of Advisor meetings, I see these presentations, as I told you before, and I am blown away with the work that you are presenting and doing, and the research that you've had, been working on to contribute to the field. You're more prepared than I was. You have what it takes to make a difference. I need some water, but I don't know if I'm going to take it. Let's do this instead. I just want to leave you with 3 final pieces of advice that I've learned from my work. The first one is, you have your degrees, you're prepared, you're ready to go, you're probably ready to get after it and let it all out for the world, and that's awesome. Let your big orange ideas go. But step number 1, at least this is what I've learned, listen first. Before you say a word, before you do what you're going to do, listen first. I'll give you a quick story of how that plays a role in my experience. When I came back to Heart of LA, I told you we had 16 and 17-year-olds who couldn't read and write. The first thing I wanted to do was to start to teach them how to read and write. Let's get after this. Let's roll some sleeves up. Let's do it. Well, I realized rather quickly that when I asked the simple question to some of my students, hey, how did you get here? They would tell me, well, last night I slept on the couch. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I helped my dad pack up the vending cart so that he could go to work. Or it was the only chance I got to see my father, so I wanted to be up when he woke up. I ate something. I was hungry when I got to school. When I got to school, I started to doodle on my notepad. I wasn't really very interested. I was really quiet, and the teacher kept picking on me. They kept asking me questions, and I didn't want to share. After school, well, I don't want to tell you what I was doing after school, but I'm here, aren't I? Come to find out that this particular student was tagging, spray painting all over town. Why was he spray painting all over town? Because guess what? His town had spray paint all over it. It had gang symbols, it had, cliques, it had all this stuff. This is how he grew up. This was his pathway to school every single day. Broken elevator, gang members stooping out in front. And so he'd get to school and he would tag. And he became a tagger. Not surprising. It was all he knew. It's all he saw. Well, one day, thinking he was just tagging another wall that was in the neighborhood, another tagged wall in the neighborhood, he tagged a postal truck. And when he tagged a postal truck, he didn't understand the difference between tagging a postal truck or tagging a wall. So the police came down on him pretty hard. That was a felony. But I listened to this student. I knew the pathway from which he walked and tried to go to school and tried to become successful in his own way. I knew he had a little talent in art. So the founder and myself, we picked up the phone and we called our city council member and we begged them not to throw this kid in prison, in jail. Yet another statistic of a low socioeconomic student on a pathway to prison that ends nowhere. Because we listened. We understood his story. We advocated strong and hard. Today, this young man went to college. He became an amazing artist. His artwork has been collected by collectors all over the world. He's exhibited in museums and galleries all over the world. He's done residencies at colleges throughout the country. And best of all, he's a teacher in our neighborhood, trying to inspire the next generation and have them prevent what he was doing when he was young in life. How great does that feel? That's what our degree can do. That's what our degrees can do. The second piece of advice, as you have your degrees almost in hand, is remember that to whom much has been given, much is expected. You have what it takes to make this world a better place. Much is expected, so go do it. And when you do it, don't do what's already been done. Don't do the easy thing to do. Sometimes doing the right thing means doing something that is a little different. They need a big orange idea. Big orange ideas aren't the same old. There's something different. There's something more important. I think you're all called to do that. Why? Because I'm so proud that there's so many of you who are educated and ready to change our world. You are inspiring. So now go do it. The same old in our neighborhood was if we have a wonderful orchestra program. So we had a waiting list of 700 families that wanted into our programs once things started started cooking. And we thought, how are we going to tackle that issue? And so we started an orchestra program. One conductor, lots of kids. Multiplying that out a little bit. Now we have 250 kids playing in the orchestra program. But the way we started it was we said, we're going to do first grade through fifth grade. That's the program. That's the recipe. That's what we have the budget for. And every year we'd add a grade, right? So the kids would grow up into the program. Well, a grandmother came to us in that first year, and she says, my younger third grader, he loves this orchestra program. Thank you so much. But he's not who I'm worried about anymore. I'm worried about my eighth grader. And I know eighth grade is too old. I know it doesn't fit the system. I know it doesn't fit what you've got going on. But can you please find a way, because he's actually starting to fail in school. He's hanging out with the wrong crowd. He's having disciplinary issues. And the principal has told me that one more strike and he's out. Can you please help him? So guess what? That student became the first eighth grade mentor to the younger kids. And we put him in the orchestra program as a clarinetist. A year later, he was such a good model that he became a first clarinetist in that orchestra program with the first through fifth graders. And last year, now he's in high school, freshman in high school. Last year, I brought him to London with me where he played at the version of Carnegie Hall called the Barbican, under the direction of Gustavo Dudamel. He went from the Rampart District to dropping out of school through an amazing program and off to London on a plane for the first time. Better yet, his grades have improved. He got into one of the top performing high schools in the area, and I'm proud to tell you that he has A's and B's as of last week, and he wants to major in psychology and minor in music. So you have what it takes to do what's unexpected. You have what it takes to give Big Orange ideas a chance. Do something different. Don't do what's easiest. My third piece of advice, and final piece of advice, I had 2 number 3s, and I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to choose something that my dad told me, and I'm going to share it with you because you guys mean a lot to me, because we're going to be fellow alumni soon. My dad used to just say, son, I know you've changed a lot of careers here and you're trying to figure yourself out. Do what makes you happy, and do it well, and work really, really hard at it. Because if you do those things, the rewards and the accolades will come. You know what, Dad? You were right. The rewards and the accolades are that I get a chance to speak in front of all of you, the class of 2014, and let you guys know that I believe in you too, and please pay it forward. I love this place. I hope that as alumni you will feel the same way. I was researching how to give the perfect commencement speech and what makes a perfect commencement speech. And tip number 1 was to be an interesting person with a fascinating career. And then they listed, the past 3 presidents, movie stars, comedians, and I started to get pretty worried. I thought, oh boy. But then I remembered, hey, wait a minute. I've got what it takes. I'm a graduate of the College of Education, Health and Human Services. And pretty soon, class of 2014, so will you be. Congratulations, class of 2014. Godspeed, and go Big Orange. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I was hung on every word that Tony spoke, and I actually got to visit Tony and the Heart of Los Angeles program, and the young man he talked about, whose artwork is shown all over the world, I got a chance to meet personally, and I thought that's a rock star right there. I was just so blown away. Tony, on behalf of our college, we want to express our appreciation. You join a very, very important group of distinguished alumni who have come just recently to present and to give the commencement speech for our college at this ceremony. So this Distinguished Alumnus Award is presented to Tony Brown in recognition of outstanding service to the profession and as a distinguished ambassador of the College of Education, Health and Human Sciences and the University of Tennessee on this day, May 8th, 2014. Tony, congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.